many Chinatown businesses get almost everything that they sell from China, and they say President Trump's trade war could be worse for them than the pandemic.
Watching these tariffs really hit us this hard before it's already starting, it's devastating to watch.
We'll introduce you to a mother and son who say their shop might not survive this trade war, determining the cause of the Palisades fire by starting a new one.
The fires go up and they see it in the hills again, sure, it can certainly spark that trauma again.
A look at how investigators hope to finally get some answers. Plus, fighting flies with flies. Why state officials are releasing millions of invasive fruit flies in Alameda County. And later,
nice work,
using AI to detect diseases earlier than most humans ever could.
I wish I didn't have to think about this, but at the same time, I try not to let it consume my life.
We'll meet a North Bay woman testing out the new app after losing her own mother to ALS.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Hi, I'm Sarah Donchie, in today for Juliette. We are now 100 days into President Trump's second term, and his trade war with China shows no signs of slowing down right now. Today, leaders in San Francisco's Chinatown are warning that the Trump tariffs could mean the end of their businesses. Right now, tariffs on Chinese goods are as high as 145%. It depends on the product. So it's not hard to imagine the effect that it's already having on businesses in Chinatown. Our Lauren Toms caught up with a family who is not sure how all of this is going to work out for them in the long run.
Just last year, this box of incense at Lion Trading Company in San Francisco's Chinatown would cost about $15. But as President Trump wages a trade war with China, store owners like Megan Lee have already been forced to raise their prices by more than 30%.
And it was just shocking to hear that tariffs were rising overnight to 25, 45, 100, and then 145. And so once she sat down and really cleared her mind and calculated how the effects would come in, she realized that the profits that she would be making from these imports would be impossible.
Inside the small shop lined with traditional goods from China, Megan's son Lucas helps her navigate a crisis that feels anything but traditional. He says Megan was in China meeting with suppliers as news broke of the tit-for-tat tariffs between her home country and her home.
I want to say 99.9% of all of our goods are imported from China. And so this tariff is impacting us in ways that we're not prepared for.
San Francisco Chinese Chamber of Commerce President Donald Liu says some businesses here have had to double their prices just to survive. And for many, the economic blow from tariffs could be even more severe than what they faced in the darkest days of the pandemic without government help in sight.
With this economic trade war, we feel that the effect's going to be long-lasting, and it's going to threaten the very fabric of Chinatown.
State Assembly member Matt Haney says help could be on the horizon from Sacramento. He and fellow lawmakers are exploring financial lifelines similar to COVID stimulus checks to keep small businesses like these from shuttering.
We're going to have to step in. We're going to have to step up, not only suing the federal government, not only potentially finding ways to reduce the cost of those imports ourselves by negotiating some trade agreements, but also, yes, we should look at direct support, because if a business closes, that business likely isn't coming back.
The stakes are high for California, where about 25% of its imported goods come from China. Governor Gavin Newsom is trying to protect the state by seeking to strike direct deals with China and other global trading partners. But it's unclear whether those efforts will have an impact. As for Lucas and Megan, they continue to stock their shelves with the inventory they have now. Their future hangs heavy with uncertainty.
I'm side by side with her through every step of the way. And I'm already feeling a secondhand pressure from all of the stress that she's dealing with in order to provide for the family. And so watching these tariffs really hit us this hard before it's already starting, it's devastating to watch.
Praying it comes to an end before tradition and legacy are priced out.
Lucas also told us one of the best ways to help stores like his stay in business is to shop at small businesses as much as you possibly can. President Trump won a second term largely based on economic issues like inflation and getting that down. But a new CBS News poll shows Americans are not really responding very well to his tariffs plan. Back in November, a couple of weeks after the election, just over Half of Americans, 52%, supported new tariffs on foreign imports. But since then, that number has dropped by more than 10%. And now just 45% of people polled think the president even has a clear plan on tariffs and trade going forward. That is down from 50% just 2 weeks ago. And coming up at 7 o'clock, we check back in with longtime Democrat turned Trump supporter we first introduced you to back in November, how he's feeling 100 days in about the tariffs that will directly impact his own business. Investigators spent the day looking for evidence in South San Francisco. Police shot and killed a man there last night after they say he fired into his neighbor's house. Neighbors tell us this all started with a dispute over tree trimmings. We could see a palm tree surrounded by evidence markers today. Police responded to a reported disturbance around 6 o'clock last night. They say the 60-year-old suspect was armed with a shotgun and a handgun, and they say that he fired at their officers when they got there. This all happened at the intersection of Arroyo and Cuesta Drives near the California Golf Club of San Francisco. Neighbors also say another person was taken to the hospital but wasn't seriously hurt. No officers were injured in that shooting. Oakland's school board meeting starts in less than half an hour from now, and a looming teacher strike will be a major topic there. The teachers union officially told the district they plan to walk off the job on Thursday. The Oakland Education Association says the one-day strike is over the district's alleged failure to provide financial information about budget cuts. The district says it has responded to the 30 of the union's requests. It also says schools will be open and staffed on Thursday. If this sounds familiar, it is because this would be the fourth teacher strike in Oakland since 2019. In a statement, the school district said in part, quote, "We strongly believe this is not a reason to disrupt student learning or the routines of our families. We are hopeful that we can work together to find solutions and ensure a strong finish to the school year for all Oakland students." State agriculture officials say they are almost done eradicating an old pest that recently returned to the Bay Area. This is a Mediterranean fruit fly blown up to a huge proportion. It is, though, an invasive African fly, and it can absolutely ruin crops. They devastated Bay Area farmers in the early 80s, but now the state is releasing millions of them in Alameda County to use the flies against the flies. John Ramos explains.
This latest release of sterile medflies is not the beginning of an infestation. In fact, it may be the end of one. When they were discovered in August in Fremont, it was the first time the bug had been found in Alameda County since 1981. And that was the year that all hell broke loose. The medfly, nicknamed Old Blue Eyes for its iridescent color, poses a huge threat to agriculture, laying its eggs inside fruit, making it inedible. But more importantly, it can leave an entire region subject to bans from other states and even foreign countries. So when 100 flies were found in Fremont within 6 months, it sounded a lot of alarms.
So in response to that, our protocol is to release sterile male Mediterranean fruit flies at a rate of 250,000 sterile flies per square mile per week.
Dr. Jason Leathers says the sterile insect technique has been pretty successful and is used on a year-round basis in Southern California. But before they figured out how to do that, back in 1981, they used a different technique, one that most will never forget. At the time, many compared it to the helicopter attack scene from Apocalypse Now. Teams of choppers flew in formation, spraying the city of San Jose with a sticky solution of the pesticide malathion. Then Governor Jerry Brown initially resisted the spraying, which upset local farmers.
I've got to weigh the health effects, and the impact on people.
But he then approved it under pressure from the federal government, which frightened and angered everyone else.
We feel like we are just trapped here and we're going to be sprayed. We're going to be living in the sea of malathion.
I could have a 2-pound baby instead of a nice, healthy 7-pound baby.
But despite the uproar, the flights continued, night after night.
And it was even unbelievable to me, actually. I mean, in retrospect, the thought of even spraying one-time malathion over millions of people is really something that certainly wouldn't be accepted today.
Dr. James Carey was studying the medfly at the time for UC Davis. He says though the spraying was generally successful at knocking down the infestation, the public outcry convinced the state to give up the practice. But now he has his doubts that the sterile insect technique can really totally eradicate a species.
It's very, very difficult. In fact, it's impossible to declare whether flies have been totally eliminated. It is kind of a whack-a-mole problem right now. You get medflies here and there, and you have to go after them. But pretty soon, there's so many outbreaks every year that whack-a-mole approach is not going to work.
He believes they're here to stay, but he says the state can't acknowledge that without its agriculture being quarantined by the rest of the world. So in August, if no more medflies are found in Alameda County, they will be officially considered eradicated until the next time they show up.
The professor says climate change might also be playing a part in the rise of invasive pest outbreaks. Many of the damaging insects come from tropical climates and are better able to adapt to California as the average temperature increases. It is not just fruit flies getting released into the wild. Still ahead, how researchers are hoping these small butterflies can fill the role of a species that went extinct in San Francisco. And we will introduce you to a Bay Area woman who hopes that a new AI program could help detect early signs of the same terminal illness that took her mother. Plus,
I'm pretty confident we'll be able to provide an answer on that.
why investigators say starting a new fire in the Pacific Palisades can help them figure out what started the one that destroyed thousands of homes. A San Jose man faces up to a decade in federal prison after bombing a pair of PG&E transformers. Peter Karasev pleaded guilty today to federal charges relating to the bombings. The first one happened in December of 2022 near the Westfield Oak Ridge Mall. The second one was about a month later near the Plaza del Rey shopping center. Surveillance video from the second bombing helped lead investigators back to Karasev. Both bombings left hundreds of people without power for hours. Karasev was arrested in March of 2023. Investigators searched his home and office and found more explosives, along with hundreds of pounds of material to make more explosives, they say. His sentencing is set for August. It might be an unsettling sight for people living near the Palisades burn zone in Southern California, but federal investigators hope that setting a new fire could help them determine the cause of the Palisades fire. The ATF is conducting what they call controlled fire testing in Topanga State Park, a popular hiking area where witnesses say they thought they saw the fire break out. Fireworks also sparked a fire near that area about 6 days before that, burning 8 acres before it was knocked down by firefighters. Investigators wonder if extreme winds could have reignited that previous fire, ultimately leading to the Palisades fire, which killed 12 people and destroyed nearly 7,000 structures. The test is going to include a contained fire with flames that go up about 15 feet in height for 3 to 4 hours in a steel propane burner.
So flame location, flame size is helpful to kind of, if you will, like replaying a movie in reverse, where you're trying to bring it back to its smallest spot, that you can do that within a reasonable degree of scientific certainty.
The controlled burn will begin tonight. It'll continue through May 1st. We talk so much about artificial intelligence now and how tech executives hope to use it in the future. There are a lot of ways they can do that, but one area where it is already showing some promise is in the field of medicine. Our Itai Hod introduces us to a North Bay woman who hopes a new program can help her spot a disease once considered to be impossible to predict.
These days, it's the little things Mindy Erlab appreciates the most. A hot cup of coffee, a song on the piano, her dog waiting by the door. Ordinary moments made extraordinary by what she knows could be coming.
I wish I didn't have to think about this, but at the same time, I try not to let it consume my life.
That is why, every week, she logs on and reads a few lines into an app trained to catch the faintest slur or shift in her speech.
A woman signed a sales contract for construction of a new brick home.
Erlab lost her mother to ALS.
Take a deep breath and say pataka over and over.
And even though she doesn't have the disease, she carries the gene.
Pataka, 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 pataka.
For now, this app, called Everything ALS, is helping her stay one step ahead.
You've been doing a good job.
The technology behind it was created by Indu Navar, a former high-tech executive who turned grief into purpose after losing her husband Peter to ALS. They searched for a diagnosis for 2 years. By the time they got one, most of his neurons were already gone.
That's the time you're supposed to be doing something.
Every 90 minutes, someone in the U.S. is diagnosed with ALS. But getting that diagnosis can take months, even years. By then, there's little doctors can do. So Navar turned to AI, creating an app that tracks speech, walking, and motor skills, spotting changes long before most humans can. By letting patients participate from home, Everything ALS not only makes clinical trials more accessible, it's giving researchers a data set that's bigger, faster, and more diverse. While early results seem promising, the app has not yet been approved by the FDA.
AI has allowed us to predict changes in small variation that happens.
As for Erlab, taking back a little control has given her something else, a way to write her own story.
I enjoy every day of my life. I don't stay up at night worrying about stuff.
Please say pop.
Pop.
Artificial intelligence, delivering not just a new tool, but new hope.
Nice work.
Pretty impressive. So Navar and her team are already expanding the technology to other diseases, including Alzheimer's, Huntington's, and Parkinson's.
Temperatures across the Bay Area continue to warm up, made it up into the low to mid 80s in San Jose and Concord, and maybe Santa Rosa not quite as warm, but still close to 5 degrees above normal. Enjoy one more day of this tomorrow, tracking some changes later in the week in the First Alert forecast.
May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and right now, as we speak, we are having a kickoff celebration, as we always do. This is a live look from inside our KPIX building. Community leaders and local officials are here for our annual event, hosted by none other than my friend Ryan Yamamoto. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie even stopped by to say a few words. Throughout the month, we will be bringing you some special stories highlighting the Bay Area's rich AAPI community and culture. All right, I look forward to that event every year. It's so nice to meet a bunch of our viewers, hear what people are doing with their businesses in the community. There's usually amazing food at all of them, which is definitely a highlight. So we look forward to that.
And we'll have some good stories coming up too.
Yes, we always do. Ryan plays a huge role in that, so it'll be exciting to see what he comes up with.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about weather. It seemed like there were some dips that I have to be concerned about.
Some changes here and there as we head through the rest of the week. A lot of variety in our weather today across the Bay Area because of course, our old friend, the marine layer. So let's take a look at the current satellite perspective, and you can see the cloud cover that is hugging the coast and has made its way inside the bay and inside Monterey Bay as well. We're going to be seeing that push of fog making its way into some of the inland valleys as we head through the rest of tonight and into early tomorrow morning. But for now, it is mainly confined to the coast, trying to make a little bit of a move. But for the rest of us, we saw plenty of sunshine, just some high clouds further up in the atmosphere, occasionally filtering that sunshine. But we still managed to warm up, and it's still mild out there right now. Taking a look at current conditions, now there's the fog as we look out from the Mark Hopkins Hotel beginning to make its move. Temperature in San Francisco, responding to it. It's only upper 50s right now after we made it up into the mid 60s, a degree above normal in San Francisco earlier today. Only low 60s across the bay in Oakland, mid 60s in Santa Rosa. There's the influence of the marine air, finding some breaks in the terrain and making its way into the North Bay. So you've dropped 10 degrees from your high already, but it's still mild farther inland. Low 70s in San Jose, upper 70s Livermore, and 80 degrees right now for the warm spot in Concord. As we head through the rest of tonight, we are going to see the fog making more of a push, but once again into the same spots that it was most prevalent early this morning. So along the coast to begin the evening, through the Golden Gate as we head into late evening and then making its way into the inland valleys of the North Bay by early tomorrow morning. So plenty of fog there around the bay, but not east of the Oakland Hills, not in the Santa Clara Valley. And even where the fog is present to begin the day tomorrow, it's not going to take long for it to back up to the coast. Should happen by late morning, and we'll see temperatures warming up from a normally cool start. In fact, temperatures maybe a couple degrees above average to begin the day, and then we'll climb to the mid-70s in the Santa Clara Valley. The warm spots where you don't have to burn off any fog, upper 70s and low 80s east of the Oakland Hills. But along the coast where the fog is going to be tough to shake, 50s and 60s. Then temperatures around the bay, mix of 60s and 70s. And for the North Bay, mostly in the low to mid 70s. Not quite as warm as other inland spots because that fog hanging out for the first couple hours of daylight. But Healdsburg, where you don't see as much fog, you're going to make it all the way up to around 82 degrees by tomorrow afternoon. Dog walking forecast for tomorrow is brought to you by an adoptable dog, as we do every Tuesday from Lily's Legacy in Petaluma. This dog has the definition of soulful eyes. This is Luke. He is adoptable. I'll put a link up on social media as soon as this weathercast is over. He gets to enjoy good sunbathing weather tomorrow once that fog dissipates. Temperatures in Petaluma should make it up into the low to mid 70s. Cooler weather is eventually on the way as the onshore breeze gets stronger and stronger. Not too strong yet tomorrow. That's why inland spots are still going to warm up. The strongest gusts in the 20 to 25 mile an hour range, but more widespread gusts in the 25 to 30 mile an hour range are in store for us on Thursday. And that's going to spell a return of some below average temperatures by the time we hit the end of the work week on Friday. So let's take a look at the 7-day forecast, and we will start at the coast where temperatures aren't going to change a whole lot. The one feature to note is still a chance of showers on Saturday. It's only about a 30% chance, but be flexible with any outdoor plans just to be on the safe side. And that's not just a part of the coastal forecast. We're looking at that same chance of showers for the entire Bay Area. Temperatures around the Bay retreating to the low 60s for the first few days of May, but then bouncing back to pretty much normal by the beginning of next week. And temperatures inland, you always have the biggest ups and downs this time of year, and the next 7 days, no exception. Around 80 tomorrow, down to only the mid 60s on Saturday, but then back to pretty much normal weather by the beginning of next week.
Very nice.
Yes.
I like that we're already talking about the weekend.
Oh, it's never too early.
We're close,
yes,
right?
When we're in one weekend, I'm already looking ahead to the next one.
No, I know. We do the same thing. All right, Paul, thank you. When we come back, why researchers say releasing a handful of butterflies could make a big long-term difference in the Presidio. Plus, here's a look at what's ahead on the CBS Evening News.
I'm Jason Allen in Owensboro, Kentucky. There are people here who think of Pope Francis not so much as the leader of a church, as he is the person who cleared the way for immigrants and refugees. That story's next on the CBS Evening News.
A tiny blue butterfly was the center of attention this morning at the Presidio in San Francisco. From these tiny little containers, a group of scientists and volunteers released 11 silvery blue butterflies, all gathered from Monterey County. The hope is that they will become a stand-in for the Xerces blue butterfly and enhance biodiversity. The Xerces was last seen in the city more than 80 years ago. It was the first butterfly to go extinct in North America.
Biodiversity builds resilience, and certainly with a changing world that we live in, resilience is really important for ecosystems to survive into the future.
After these silvery blues were released, volunteers observed them to see where they went and to see what plants they seemed to like. The CBS Evening News with Maurice Dubois and John Dickerson is next right here on KPIX. Local news continues on our streaming service, CBS News Bay Area. We're back here in 30 minutes with CBS News Bay Area at 7.